They fear you, not because you shout, not because you fight, not even because you expose. They fear you because you carry a fire they cannot replicate, contain, or extinguish. The moment you walked into the room, something in the atmosphere shifted, and they couldn't explain why. They didn't need to know your name. Your spirit screamed louder than anything your lips could say, and suddenly, their masks didn't fit right anymore. The fake smiles cracked. The rehearsed confidence melted. That's what happens when a chosen one walks in with holy fire. It confronts everything built on lies. You burn differently. You don't destroy the way they expect fire to destroy. Your fire reveals. Your fire consumes only what doesn't belong. You ignite rooms, not with destruction, but with truth. But truth, for those who've built their lives on deception, is more terrifying than hellfire itself, because it exposes, it awakens, it calls things by name. And when your presence walks in, their spiritual ecosystem starts to unravel, because your very existence is an indictment. You didn't ask for this fire. You didn't even fully understand it at first. You were just trying to survive, trying to stay quiet, trying to blend in. But every attempt to shrink back made the flame grow stronger, because this fire is not man-made. It was lit by God Himself. Through the rejection, the wilderness, the isolation, the betrayals, every tear you cried in silence was oil on the flame. Every time they left you for dead, it fueled your furnace. And now you are walking proof that even hell can't burn what heaven has marked. They fear the fire because they know it doesn't answer to them. They can't manipulate it. They can't profit off of it. And most of all, they can't understand why you're still standing. They threw everything at you. Rumors, silence, sabotage, isolation, spiritual warfare. And not only did you survive, you came out burning hotter, and that terrifies them, because they hoped your silence meant defeat. But your silence was sacred preparation. You were being forged like gold in a furnace, like a sword in the fire. And now that you're rising, they don't know what to do with you, because their plan depended on you staying small, uncertain, and broken. But God's plan was to raise a remnant that couldn't be bought, swayed, or silenced. That's you. You don't burn out. You burn through layers of deception, through spiritual fog, through generational lies. You walk in with nothing but presence, and yet everything hidden begins to shake. They smile in your face, but their spirit flinches when you speak. Why? Because when the fire speaks, it doesn't flatter, it cuts, it exposes, it convicts. You don't even need to call things out. Your walk alone brings conviction. You don't need a platform. Your life is the sermon. Your pain is the testimony. Your purity is the protest. Your survival is the prophecy fulfilled. And when you burn like this, not for attention, but from obedience, the spiritual realm takes notice. Demons recognize the flame. They've seen it before, in burning bushes, in fire from heaven, in Pentecost. And they know that wherever that fire lands, something has been ordained to shift. You weren't just lit for comfort, you were lit for warfare, for cleansing, for awakening. And they don't want you to know just how powerful your presence truly is. But here's the thing, you're just now realizing the why behind the fire. It's not just about you, it's about what you carry. It's about the fact that heaven trusts you with that flame. Not everybody can handle the heat. Some love the light until the fire starts burning their idols. But you didn't compromise. You didn't fold. You let God purify you, strip you, break you, and because of that, you carry fire that doesn't just illuminate, it transforms. This is why they're uncomfortable around you, even when you say nothing, even when you try to be invisible. You can't hide this kind of flame. It leaks, it bleeds into atmospheres, it stirs the silence. You've been marked by the furnace of affliction, and now your flame carries discernment, anointing, and authority. Not because of a title, but because of what you've survived without losing your soul. They fear that you will expose their darkness. But exposure is just a symptom. What they really fear is what your fire might awaken in others. They're afraid people will start questioning the systems, the cycles, the control, because when the real fire shows up, counterfeits tremble. Not because you attacked, but because you exist. Because you carry something pure, and purity is disruptive. You're not here to beg for acceptance. You're not here to fit into corrupt rooms. You are the divine interruption. You are the shift they didn't plan for, the voice they couldn't bribe, the flame they can't put out. And as you continue to rise, the fire will only grow stronger. Because this is God's doing, not yours. They wanted you afraid, but now they're the ones afraid. Afraid that others will see what you carry. Afraid your obedience will activate revival. Afraid that your resilience will awaken the silent warriors around you, and that's exactly what's happening. Your flame is contagious. It's lighting dry bones. It's reviving dead dreams. It's burning off generational shame. So don't hold back now. You didn't survive the furnace to be polite. You didn't walk through hell to appease fragile egos. You came out burning differently, and it's time to walk like it. Every step you take is a prophetic strike against darkness. Every time you speak, heaven echoes. You may be misunderstood, but you are not mistaken. You are chosen. You are burning, and you are feared. You didn't just survive the fire. You became it. That's what separates you from the rest. That's what the enemy sees when they look at you. Not a victim of life's storms, but a furnace forged by them. You burn differently, not because you chose to, but because you were chosen. And those who operate in darkness, they can feel the difference. They fear it, not because you're aggressive, not because you're loud, but because your light exposes everything they've worked hard to keep hidden. Your presence burns through lies, illusions, manipulation, and deception without you saying a word. Room shifts when you walk in, not because of your appearance, but because of the fire that follows you, a holy flame that cannot be replicated, imitated, or quenched. You weren't meant to blend in. You weren't born to follow the crowd. From the beginning, heaven marked you, and that mark cannot be removed. So while others fear being disliked, you've already made peace with rejection. You've accepted isolation as your preparation, not your punishment. What they call loneliness, you call alignment. And what they interpret as silence is really divine instruction. Because the fire in you speaks louder than the noise around you. You carry something hell can't duplicate, and it scares every counterfeit spirit that comes near you. The reason you've been under attack for years isn't because of your mistakes, your background, or your appearance. It's because of the light you carry and the truth you can't compromise. You were not sent to entertain darkness. You were sent to disrupt it. And when you walk into a room, darkness doesn't just shrink, it panics. Demons don't whisper. When you're near, they scream internally, hoping you won't realize the authority you carry. That's why they tried to distract you with relationships that drained you. That's why they sent people who pretended to love you but were silently intimidated by you. You'd dim your fire just to fit in, but the truth is, you were never supposed to fit in. You were sent to stand out, to rise in rooms built to break you, to carry wisdom through the wilderness, to bear oil pressed through pain. And now that you're awakening, now that your eyes are adjusting to who you truly are, the same people who once ignored you are starting to watch closely, silently, because whether they admit it or not, they know what you carry isn't normal. It isn't learned, it's divine. You burn differently because your fire is not just passion, it's purpose. That fire you feel rising in your spirit when you see injustice, when you hear lies, when you encounter people suffering in silence. That's not emotionalism, that's divine fire. You've been entrusted with a holy burden. You weren't designed to watch evil unfold and stay quiet. You weren't sent to smile through disrespect and pretend it doesn't sting. You were built to shift atmospheres. You were chosen to break chains and the fire within you. It's exactly what's required to dismantle spiritual strongholds that words alone can't touch. That's why some people couldn't stay in your life. That's why your fire made them uncomfortable. They didn't want to transform, they wanted to stay the same. But being around you meant facing themselves. It meant their masks would melt in your presence, and they weren't ready, so they left. Some betrayed you, some lied on you, some tried to compete with you while secretly studying you, but none of them could replace you because you're not a product of popularity, you're a product of pressure. Heaven approved what man overlooked. And now, the very fire they feared is about to reveal who you truly are. You've walked through furnaces you didn't deserve. You've faced rejection that could have shattered your spirit. But you're still here, stronger, sharper, wiser, and now, more than ever, spiritually aware. You're starting to see who's for you and who's only around you because they hope to control your light. But the time for compromise is over. You didn't go through all that fire just to settle for a lukewarm life. You didn't survive the wilderness just to die in the desert of distraction. You were trained in silence for a public assignment. And the people who once questioned your worth are about to witness your divine unveiling. This is the season where the fire in you becomes unmistakable, where your anointing becomes too obvious to ignore, where even your enemies will have to admit there's something on your life that can't be explained. They'll say, "I don't know what it is about you," but deep down, their spirits will know. They'll feel the authority. They'll sense the assignment. They'll remember the moments they mocked you, underestimated you, and tried to silence you. And they'll realize you were never trying to be better than them. You were just being obedient to the calling they feared. The clarity you now carry didn't come cheap. It came through confusion, heartbreak, betrayal, and seasons of deep soul searching. But that's what makes you dangerous. You know who you are now. You're not begging for acceptance. You're not shrinking for approval. You're not performing for attention. You walk with purpose. You burn with truth. And that truth doesn't just expose, it convicts. That's why even when you're silent, people feel nervous around you. That's why some avoid eye contact or try to shift the conversation when you speak. Because your presence speaks of a reality they've been avoiding. You don't just carry fire, You are the fire. You've become the very thing the enemy tried to kill in you. He thought the pain would snuff it out. He thought the abandonment would steal your confidence. He thought the warfare would distract you from the vision. But what he didn't expect was that all of it would refine you. What he tried to burn you with only made you brighter. What he tried to bury you under only taught you how to rise. And now your very existence is a threat to every lie, every system, every hidden agenda that thrives in darkness.